The alarm bells rang through Luna Station like screaming metal. Commander Lisa Grant jumped from her chair in the communications center. Her coffee cup fell to the floor and broke into pieces. The red warning lights flashed across every screen in the room. "What is happening?" Lisa asked the young officer at the main console. "We are getting a distress signal from deep space, Commander," said Lieutenant Amy Foster. Her hands moved quickly over the controls. "The signal is very weak. It came from the Valerian Republic, about 40,000 light-years away." Lisa walked over to Amy's station. The message was playing on repeat. The voice sounded strange and frightening. It was not human at all. The words came through the translator, but Lisa could hear the fear behind them. "Please help us. We are dying. Our people are being killed. The Krex Empire attacks our worlds every day. They burn our cities. They kill our children. We have no weapons to fight them. We are a peaceful people. We never hurt anyone. Please, anyone who can hear this message, help us. We beg you." "Time is running out," the message played again. Then again. Lisa felt cold inside her chest. She had heard many distress calls before, but this one was different. This was not about a broken ship or a lost crew. This was about an entire species being murdered. "How long ago did this message arrive?" Lisa asked. "About 10 minutes ago, Commander. It took weeks to reach us, maybe months." "The signal is very old." Lisa picked up her communication device. "Get me Admiral Kate Turner right away." While she waited, Lisa looked at the star charts on the big screen. The Valerian Republic was far away, farther than any human ship had ever traveled. It was on the other side of the galaxy. She had never heard of the Valerians before. She had never heard of the Krex Empire either. "Turner here," came the Admiral's voice through the speaker. "Admiral, we have received a distress call from an alien species. They are asking for help. They say they are being attacked by another alien species called the Krex Empire." There was silence for a few seconds. "Send me everything you have, Lisa. I will be there in 1 hour." Lisa turned to Amy. "Find out everything we can about these two species. Check all our records. See if any human ship has ever met them before." Amy nodded and started working. Other officers in the room began helping her search the databases. Lisa played the message again. Each time she heard it, the fear in the alien voice seemed stronger. 1 hour later, Admiral Turner arrived at Luna Station. She was a tall woman with gray hair and serious eyes. She had fought in 3 wars and had never lost a battle. She walked into the communications center with quick steps. "Show me what we have," she said. Amy put the information on the main screen. "The Valerians are a peaceful species. They live on 5 worlds in a small area of space. They are plant eaters. They have never fought a war. Their technology is good, but they have no weapons. They use their ships for trade and exploration only." "What about the Krex Empire?" Admiral Turner asked. "The Krex are very different. They are like giant insects. They have a big empire with hundreds of worlds. They are warriors. They fight other species and take their planets. They have been expanding for thousands of years." Admiral Turner studied the information. "How many Valerians are there?" "About 50 million total. Most of them live on their homeworld called Velros Prime." "And the Krex forces?" "We do not know exactly, but the message talks about many large warships. The Krex have been attacking Valerian worlds for 6 months." Admiral Turner was quiet for a long time. She looked at the star charts. "Have we heard anything from the Galactic Council about this?" Lisa checked her files. "Yes, Admiral. The Galactic Council received the same message. They are having meetings about it. They have not decided what to do yet." "Meetings," Admiral Turner said with anger in her voice. "People are dying and they are having meetings." At that moment, Captain Jake Morrison walked into the room. He was a man of medium height with brown hair and scars on his hands from old battles. He had fought in the war on Mars 10 years ago. His ship, the UES Defiant, was one of the strongest in the human fleet. "Admiral, I heard about the alien distress call. Is it true?" "Yes, Jake. An entire species is being wiped out while the galaxy watches and does nothing." Captain Morrison looked at the information on the screens. "How far away are they?" 40,000 light-years. It would take our fastest ship 3 weeks to get there." "What kind of enemy are they facing?" Amy brought up pictures of Krex warships. They were dark and sharp like giant metal insects. "The Krex Empire has thousands of ships. They are much stronger than the Valerians." Captain Morrison studied the pictures. His face became hard. "These Krex are bullies. They pick on people who cannot fight back." "The Galactic Council will probably do nothing," Admiral Turner said. They will talk for months while the Valerians die. Then we go alone, Captain Morrison said. Admiral Turner looked at him with surprise. Jake, this would be a one-way trip. Even if we could defeat the Krex forces there, we would be too far from home to get help, and the galaxy would not forgive us for starting a war. Someone has to help them, Captain Morrison said. If we do nothing, who will help us when we need it? Dr. Sam Rodriguez walked into the room. He was the chief scientist for the fleet and knew more about alien species than anyone else on Earth. I have been studying the message, he said. The Valerian language shows they are very scared. They have never felt fear like this before. What do you mean? Lisa asked. Peaceful species like the Valerians do not understand war. They do not know how to fight or hide or run away. When someone attacks them, they can only ask for help. But no one in the galaxy wants to fight the Krex Empire. Admiral Turner walked to the big window that looked out at Earth. The blue and white planet turned slowly below them. The politicians will not like this. Fighting a war so far from home will cost too much money. And the other alien species will call us warmongers again. Let them call us names, Captain Morrison said. At least the Valerians will be alive to hear it. The room became quiet. Everyone knew this was a big decision. Earth had just joined the galactic community 50 years ago. Most alien species already thought humans were too violent and dangerous. If humans fought a war to save the Valerians, it would prove what the aliens believed about them. How many ships can we send? Admiral Turner asked. Chief Engineer Pete Williams, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. The UES Defiant is ready for long-range missions. So are the escort ships Ranger and Guardian. We could have them ready to leave in 3 days. That is only 3 ships against an entire empire, Amy said. Sometimes 3 ships are enough, Captain Morrison replied, especially if they are human ships. Admiral Turner made her decision. Jake, get your ship ready. Take the Ranger and Guardian with you. I will deal with the politicians and the aliens who complain. Captain Morrison smiled for the first time since hearing the message. What are our orders? Save the Valerians. Use any methods you need to use. And come home alive. As the meeting ended, the alien message played again over the speakers. The frightened voice of an entire species asking for help that might never come. But now, for the first time in months, help was on the way. Human help. 3 ships would travel farther than any human had gone before. They would fight an enemy they had never seen to save people they had never met. Most of the galaxy would call them fools or monsters, but the Valerians would call them heroes. 3 weeks later, the UES Defiant and her escort ships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Valerian territory. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge and looked at the main screen. What he saw made his blood run cold. Space was full of burning wreckage. Pieces of Valerian ships floated everywhere like broken toys. In the distance, 3 large black ships moved slowly between the debris. The ships were shaped like giant insects with sharp points and dark metal armor. Those must be Krex vessels, said Lieutenant Amy Foster from her station. She was reading the sensors with shaking hands. Captain, I am picking up escape pods. There are survivors out there. How many pods? Captain Morrison asked. 12 pods, maybe 15. But some of them are not working anymore. The power is dying. Captain Morrison pressed the button to talk to the other ships. This is Morrison to all ships. We have survivors to pick up. Move fast before those Krex ships see us. The 3 human ships moved quickly through the wreckage field. The UES Ranger, commanded by Captain Roy Hansen, reached the first escape pod. The UES Guardian, under Captain Beth Martinez, found 3 more pods floating near a broken space station. Major Carl Davis led his Marine team to bring the survivors aboard the Defiant. The first Valerian they rescued was small and thin with green skin and large eyes. The alien was hurt and very scared. When it saw the human soldiers, it tried to hide. It is okay, Major Davis said softly. We are here to help you. The Valerian looked at him with confusion. You are not from the Galactic Council. Who are you? We are humans. We came because of your message asking for help. The Valerian started to cry. Tears ran down its green face. You came all this way for us? But we are nothing to you. We are strangers. Major Davis helped the alien to the medical bay. That does not matter. You asked for help and we came. Dr. Sam Rodriguez was waiting in the medical bay. He had studied Valerian biology during the long trip to their space. The injured aliens were different from humans in many ways, but they bled red blood just like people from Earth. How bad are their injuries? Captain Morrison asked when he came to check on the survivors. Most of them will live, Dr. Rodriguez said, but they are very frightened. They say the Kreks have been killing their people for months. One of the Valarians, an older female named Dr. Laura C., was able to talk to the humans. She was a scientist who had worked at the space station before the attack. The Kreks came without warning 6 months ago, she said. They destroyed our defense satellites first. Then they began bombing our cities. We tried to talk to them to ask why they were attacking us. They never answered. How many of your people are left? Captain Morrison asked. Maybe 3 million on Velros Prime. The other worlds are empty now. Everyone is dead or running away. Captain Morrison felt anger growing in his chest. 3 million people waiting to die while the galaxy did nothing. What can you tell us about the Kreks ships and weapons? Dr. Lorisi looked surprised. You want to fight them? But there are so many Krek ships. You only have 3 vessels. Sometimes 3 ships are enough, Captain Morrison said. Tell me about their weapons. They have plasma cannons that can destroy a building with one shot. Their ships have thick armor. Our weapons could not even scratch them. Lieutenant Commander Alex Stone, the tactical officer, was listening to everything. Captain, what if we do not try to scratch their armor? What if we break their ships in other ways? Captain Morrison looked at him. What do you mean? The Krek ships are big and strong, but they are also slow. Our ships are faster. We could hit them and run away before they can shoot back. On the bridge, communications officer Nina Clark was trying to contact other Valarian survivors. Captain, I am getting weak signals from the surface of Velros Prime. Some Valarians are still hiding in underground shelters. Can we talk to them? Yes, sir. I have a connection now. The voice that came through the speakers was very quiet and scared. This is Elder Temka on Velros Prime. Are you Galactic Council ships? Captain Morrison took the communication device. This is Captain Morrison of the Earth Defense Fleet. We received your message asking for help. There was silence for a long time. Then Elder Temka spoke again and his voice was shaking. You came. Someone actually came to help us. How many Krek ships are near your planet? 15 large warships and many smaller ones. They bomb our cities every day. We are hiding underground, but they are finding our shelters. In 2 days, maybe 3, they will find all of us. Captain Morrison looked around the bridge. His crew was listening to every word. They all knew this was almost impossible. 3 human ships against 15 Kreks warships. The smart thing would be to leave and come back with more ships. But in 2 days, the Valarians would all be dead. Elder Temka, we are coming to your planet. Tell your people to stay hidden. We will stop the Kreks. Captain, Amy Foster said quietly, our sensors show the 3 Krek ships nearby are moving toward us. They know we are here. Captain Morrison looked at the main screen. The black insect ships were turning in their direction. Red alert. All hands to battle stations. The bridge became busy as the crew prepared for combat. This would be the first time humans had fought the Kreks Empire. No one knew what would happen. Captain, said Chief Engineer Pete Williams over the communication system, the engines are ready. All weapons are loaded. Captain Morrison sat in his command chair. Amy, send a message to the Ranger and Guardian. Tell them to spread out. Do not let the Krek ships surround us. The first Krek ship fired its plasma cannons. Bright green energy beams crossed space toward the human ships. Captain Morrison watched the deadly light coming at them. Hard to port, he ordered. The Defiant turned quickly to the left. The plasma beams missed by only a few meters. The energy was so hot that it melted some of the floating wreckage nearby. Return fire, Captain Morrison shouted. The human ships fired their missiles and railguns at the Kreks vessels. The weapons hit the black armor and exploded in bright flashes. When the light faded, the Kreks ships were still there. Their armor was scratched but not broken. Our weapons are not strong enough, Alex Stone reported. Captain Morrison thought quickly. The Valarians were right about Kreks armor being too strong for normal weapons. But humans had learned to fight in different ways during their long history of wars on Earth. Amy, tell the Guardian to ram that damaged wreckage into the middle Kreks ship. Full speed. Sir, that might destroy the Guardian too. Tell Captain Martinez to use the wreckage as a shield. Hit the Kreks ship with everything we have at the same time. The UES Guardian pushed a large piece of broken space station toward the Kreks vessel. The alien ship fired its cannons, but the thick metal wreckage absorbed most of the damage. When the wreckage hit the Kreks ship, both the Guardian and the Defiant fired all their weapons at the same spot. This time, the explosion was different. The Kreks ship's armor cracked. Atmosphere and sparks poured out of the hole in its side. "It worked," Amy shouted. "The Krek ship is badly damaged." But the other two Krek ships were still fighting. Plasma beams hit the Ranger and caused fires on 3 decks. Captain Hansen's ship was hurt but still able to fight. "Captain Morrison," came a voice over the communication system. It was Dr. Laura C., the Valerian scientist. "I have an idea. The Krek ships have a weak spot where their engines connect to their main hull. If you can hit that spot, the whole ship will break apart." "Where exactly is this weak spot?" Alex Stone asked. "On the bottom near the back. It looks like a small circle of lights." Captain Morrison smiled. "The Kreks had strong armor, but every ship had weak points. All ships target the engine connections on the bottom of the Kreks vessels. Ignore their armor. Go for their weak spots." The 3 human ships moved like hunters, fast and dangerous. They stayed away from the powerful plasma cannons and attacked from below. The Krek ships tried to turn to follow them, but the human vessels were too quick. One by one, the human ships hit the weak spots Dr. Laura C. had told them about. The first Krek ship exploded in a ball of fire. The second ship lost power and began to drift. The third ship tried to escape, but the Guardian's missiles caught it before it could jump to hyperspace. When the battle was over, the 3 Krek's warships were destroyed or disabled. The human ships were damaged but still working. "This is just the beginning," Captain Morrison said to his crew. "We have to reach Velros Prime before the other Krek ships kill everyone there." The UES Defiant and her escorts began the journey to the Valerian homeworld. Behind them, the wreckage of the first Krek ships they had ever fought floated in space. The galaxy was about to learn that humans fought wars differently than other species, and the Krek's empire was about to discover why Earth was called a death world. The UES Defiant and her escort ships reached Velros Prime 2 days later. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge and looked at what had once been a beautiful world. The planet below was covered with smoke and fire. Great black scars marked the places where cities used to stand. 15 Krek's warships in orbit, reported Lieutenant Amy Foster. Just like Elder Temka said, "They are bombing the surface." Captain Morrison watched plasma cannons fire down at the planet. Each beam destroyed another building, another home, another family. His hands made fists at his sides. "Any word from our reinforcements?" he asked. Communications Officer Nina Clark shook her head. "Admiral Turner is still 3 weeks away with the main fleet." "We are alone out here, Captain." Dr. Sam Rodriguez came onto the bridge carrying a tablet computer. "Captain, I have been studying the Krek ships with our sensors. I found something interesting." "What is it?" "The Kreks are insects, right? Well, insects on Earth do not like certain sounds. Loud noises and vibrations confuse them. I think the same might be true for the Kreks." Captain Morrison looked at him. "What kind of sounds?" "Low-frequency vibrations, like drums or heavy music, the kind of sounds that make your chest shake." Lieutenant Commander Alex Stone turned around in his chair. "Captain, we have a music collection in the ship's database. Some of it is pretty loud." "You want to fight them with music?" Amy Foster asked. "Why not?" Captain Morrison said. "We have already fought them with broken space stations and surprise attacks. Music cannot be any crazier than that." The 3 human ships moved closer to the planet. The Krek's warships saw them coming and began to turn their weapons away from the surface. Green plasma beams lit up space as the alien ships opened fire. "All ships begin evasive maneuvers," Captain Morrison ordered. "And Nina, start broadcasting our loudest music on all frequencies." The sound of electric guitars and heavy drums began pouring out of the human ships. The music was loud and wild, the kind that made people want to fight or dance. On Earth, people called it heavy metal. The effect on the Kreks was immediate and shocking. The precise formation of alien warships began to break apart. Ships that had been flying in perfect lines suddenly started moving in different directions. Some of them stopped firing completely. "Captain, look at this," Amy Foster said with excitement in her voice. "The Krek ships are having trouble coordinating their attacks. It is like they cannot think straight." "The music is working," Dr. Rodriguez said. "Their insect brains cannot handle the vibrations." Captain Morrison smiled. "Then let us give them more music." "Nina, turn up the volume." The sound got louder. Drums pounded like thunder. Guitars screamed like metal tearing apart. The human ships dove into the confused Krek's formation like wolves attacking a scattered herd. The UES Ranger, commanded by Captain Roy Hansen, fired missiles at a Krek's cruiser that was spinning in circles. The alien ship tried to return fire, but its plasma cannons shot in the wrong direction. The missiles hit the Krek's vessel in its engine section, and it exploded in a ball of orange flame. Captain Beth Martinez brought the UES Guardian up under a large Krex battleship. The alien crew was so confused by the music that they did not see the human ship until it was too late. The Guardian's railguns punched holes through the battleship's bottom armor, and the great ship began to fall toward the planet. But the battle was far from over. The Krex ships were adapting to the music. Some of them began firing wildly in all directions, hoping to hit something. Others tried to ram the human ships with their heavy hulls. "Captain, the Krex are learning to fight through the music," Alex Stone reported. "We need a new strategy." At that moment, Major Carl Davis called from the Marine Bay. "Captain, my teams are ready to board enemy ships. Just get us close enough." Captain Morrison thought about this. Boarding enemy ships in the middle of a battle was extremely dangerous. But it might be the only way to win against so many Krex vessels. "Carl, take your best Marines and prepare for boarding action. We will get you onto that command ship." The largest Krex vessel was shaped like a giant metal spider. It had huge plasma cannons and thick armor plates. This was where the Krex admiral would be commanding the battle. The Defiant flew straight toward the command ship while the music played at full volume. Krex fighters swarmed around them like angry insects, firing small plasma bursts. The human ship's point defense guns shot down most of the fighters, but some got through and hit the hull. "Hull breaches on decks 4 and 7, reported Chief Engineer Pete Williams. "We can fix them, but not while we are fighting." "Hold together for 5 more minutes," Captain Morrison said. "That is all we need." The Defiant got close enough to the Krex command ship to launch boarding pods. Major Davis and 20 Marines shot across space in small armored capsules. The pods hit the side of the alien ship and burned through the hull with cutting tools. Inside the Krex command ship, the Marines found a world of nightmare. The corridors were dark and filled with strange smells. The Krex soldiers were tall as humans but looked like giant ants with sharp claws and mandibles. They made clicking sounds when they talked to each other. Sergeant Lucy Kim planted explosive charges on the ship's main computer, while her squad fought Krex warriors in hand-to-hand combat. The aliens were strong and fast, but they had never fought humans before. When a human Marine got injured, he kept fighting. When a Krex warrior got hurt, it often stopped fighting to tend its wounds. "These humans are insane," clicked one Krex warrior to another. "This one has 3 plasma burns and he is still attacking." The Krex could not understand why humans would keep fighting when they were hurt. In their species, injured warriors withdrew to heal. But human Marines had been taught to fight until they won or died trying. Major Davis found the bridge of the Krex command ship. The alien admiral was a huge Krex with golden armor and scars from many battles. Its name was War Leader Vexka, and it had conquered 12 species in its lifetime. "You are the human commander?" The alien admiral clicked. "You fight with no honor. You use noise as a weapon. You attack from hiding. You are not warriors." "You are right," Major Davis said as he pointed his rifle at the alien. "We are not warriors. We are soldiers. There is a difference." "What difference?" "Warriors fight for glory and honor. Soldiers fight to win." Major Davis shot the Krex admiral with his plasma rifle. War Leader Vexka fell to the deck, and the other Krex on the bridge stood frozen in shock. Their great leader was dead, killed by a creature they thought was beneath them. The death of their admiral broke the Krex fleet. Some ships tried to escape. Others surrendered. A few kept fighting, but without coordination or leadership. The human ships, still playing their loud music, hunted down the Krex vessels one by one. When the battle was over, only 4 Krex ships had escaped. 11 were destroyed and 3 were captured. The human fleet was badly damaged, but still functional. Captain Morrison opened communications with the surface of Velros Prime. "Elder Temka, this is Captain Morrison. The Krex fleet is defeated. Your planet is safe." The voice that answered was crying with joy. "Captain Morrison, you did it. You actually did it. How can we ever thank you?" "Just stay alive," Captain Morrison replied. "That is thanks enough." But the victory had come with a cost. The UES Guardian was badly damaged and could barely fly. The Ranger had lost half her crew to plasma fire. The Defiant had hull breaches and failing life support systems. Dr. Laura C., the Valerian scientist, came to the bridge. She had been watching the battle on the ship's screens. "Captain, I must ask you something. Why did you come here? Your species gains nothing from saving mine." Captain Morrison looked at her with tired eyes. "Dr. Laura C., do you have children?" "Yes, 2 daughters. Then you understand. When someone tries to hurt children, good people stop them. It does not matter if the children are your own or strangers from another world. The Valerian scientist nodded slowly. You humans are very different from what we were told. The Galactic Council says your species is violent and dangerous. Maybe they are right, Captain Morrison said. But sometimes the galaxy needs someone who is dangerous to the right people. Down on the surface of Velros Prime, Valerian families began coming out of their underground shelters. They looked up at the sky and saw human ships instead of Krex warships. For the first time in 6 months, their children could play outside without fear. The 3 human ships began repairs while they waited for Admiral Turner to arrive with reinforcements. They did not know that news of their victory was already spreading across the galaxy. The Krex Empire, which had seemed unstoppable, had been defeated by 3 ships from a species most aliens considered primitive. The galaxy was about to learn that humans did not fight like other species. They used music as a weapon. They boarded enemy ships in the middle of battle. They kept fighting when they were injured and outnumbered. Most importantly, they traveled 40,000 light-years to save strangers who could give them nothing in return. The Valerians would never forget this lesson. And neither would the rest of the galaxy. 2 weeks later, Admiral Kate Turner arrived at Velros Prime with the rest of the human fleet. She brought 12 warships and enough supplies to help the Valerians rebuild their world, but she also brought bad news from Earth. The Galactic Council is very angry with us, Admiral Turner told Captain Morrison in the meeting room of the UES Defiant. They say we started a war without permission. They want us to leave Valerian space immediately. Captain Morrison looked tired. His ship was still being repaired from the battle damage. Half his crew was in the medical bay with injuries. What does Earth Command say? President Johnson supports what we did here, but the politicians are scared. The Trellian Confederation is threatening to stop all trade with Earth. The corporate collective has frozen our bank accounts. Even some of our allies are asking us to apologize. Dr. Sam Rodriguez, who was listening to the conversation, shook his head. They want us to apologize for stopping a genocide? The galaxy does not see it that way, Admiral Turner said. They think we are dangerous warmongers who solve every problem with violence. At that moment, Dr. Lorisi entered the room. The Valerian scientist had been working with the humans for 2 weeks, helping them understand Krex technology. Admiral Turner, I have news. Our long-range sensors have detected a massive Krex fleet heading toward Velros Prime. Over 100 ships. The room became quiet. Captain Morrison felt cold in his stomach. How long until they arrive? 3 days, maybe 4. Admiral Turner studied the star charts on the table. We have 15 ships total. They have 100. Those are not good odds. The Krex are bringing everything they have, Dr. Lorisi continued. This is their revenge fleet. They want to make sure no Valerians survive this time, and they want to destroy the humans who defeated them. Captain Morrison stood up and walked to the window. Outside, Valerian children were playing in a park that had been rebuilt after the bombing. They were laughing and running around like children everywhere in the galaxy. In 3 days, they would all be dead. Admiral, we cannot win a fight against 100 Krex ships, said Lieutenant Amy Foster, who had been promoted after the battle. Maybe we should evacuate the Valerians to Earth space. 3 million people? Admiral Turner said. Our ships cannot carry that many. And where would we put them when we got home? Major Carl Davis, who still had bandages from the boarding action, joined the conversation. We do not have to win the fight. We just have to make it cost too much for the Krex to continue. What do you mean? Dr. Rodriguez asked. The Krex Empire has been expanding for thousands of years. They are used to easy victories against peaceful species. If we make this war too expensive, they might decide to stop. Communications Officer Nina Clark rushed into the room. Admiral, I am getting reports from across the galaxy. The news about our victory here has spread everywhere. She put a data pad on the table. The screen showed news reports from dozens of different species. Most of the reports were negative. The Trellian news calls us bloodthirsty savages, Nina said. The corporate collective says we are a threat to galactic peace. But there are some different reports too. She changed the screen. Now it showed messages from smaller species, the ones without big fleets or powerful weapons. The Altarian Republic says they are proud of what we did. The Zephyrian Union wants to form a defense alliance with Earth. 12 other minor species have sent messages of support. Admiral Turner looked at the messages with surprise. These are all species that the major powers ignore, the weak ones who cannot defend themselves. Just like the Valerians were, Captain Morrison said. They know they could be next. At that moment, Chief Engineer Pete Williams called over the communication system. Admiral Turner, you need to see something down here in engineering. The group went down to the engine room. Pete was standing next to a strange device that had been built into the ship's power systems. It was made from both human and Valerian technology. What is this, Pete? Admiral Turner asked. Dr. Lorisi and I have been working on something. Show them, Doctor. The Valerian scientist activated the device. A holographic image appeared in the air. It showed the solar system with Velros Prime at the center. This is a planetary defense grid, Dr. Lorisi explained. We can use the planet's natural magnetic field to create energy barriers around the whole world. Like a giant shield? Captain Morrison asked. Exactly. The Krek's plasma weapons would not be able to reach the surface, but it requires enormous amounts of power. Pete Williams smiled. That is where human engineering comes in. We can overload our ship reactors to provide the power. All 15 human ships working together could keep the shield running for maybe 6 hours. 6 hours is not very long, Admiral Turner said. It might be long enough, Major Davis said. Admiral, what if we let the Krek's fleet get close to the planet? Let them think they are winning. Then we activate the shield and trap them inside it with us. Dr. Rodriguez understood immediately. A cage match. They cannot escape and they cannot call for help. It would be a suicide mission, Admiral Turner said. Our ships would not survive 6 hours against 100 Krek's warships. Captain Morrison looked at his crew. These people had already risked their lives once to save strangers. Now he was asking them to do it again, knowing they probably would not survive. I will not order anyone to stay, he said. Anyone who wants to leave can take an evacuation ship back to Earth space. Lieutenant Amy Foster spoke first. I am staying, Captain. Me too, said Major Davis. And me, added Dr. Rodriguez. One by one, every member of the crew volunteered to stay and fight. Admiral Turner looked around the room at the faces of young men and women who were willing to die for people they had never met before 2 weeks ago. All right, she said. We make our stand here. But first, we evacuate as many Valerians as we can. Get the children and elderly people onto transport ships. Send them to the outer planets where they will be safe. For the next 3 days, human and Valerian ships worked together to move people away from Velros Prime. They saved about 500,000 Valerians, mostly the very young and very old. The rest chose to stay and help defend their home world. On the 3rd day, the Krek's revenge fleet arrived. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant and watched 100 black warships drop out of hyperspace. Each ship was bigger than his vessel. Some of them were enormous, the size of small cities. The Krek's fleet commander, Admiral Tekvar, sent a message to the human ships. His voice was full of anger and hatred. Humans, you have interfered with Krek's expansion for the last time. We will destroy your ships and then finish what we started with the Valerians. Your deaths will be an example to other species who think they can stop the Krek's empire. Captain Morrison responded with his own message. Admiral Tekvar, you made a mistake when you decided to murder innocent people. Today you find out what happens when you pick a fight with humans. The Krek's fleet moved toward Velros Prime in perfect formation. Their ships filled the space around the planet like a dark cloud. Plasma cannons charged up, ready to burn the world below. The human ships waited until the Krek's fleet was close to the planet. Then Admiral Turner gave the order that would change everything. All ships activate the planetary defense grid. Maximum power. A brilliant blue shield surrounded Velros Prime and everything near it. The Krek's fleet was trapped inside with the human ships. There was no escape for anyone now. Admiral Tekvar realized what had happened, but it was too late. Humans, what have you done? Captain Morrison answered him. We have made sure that if the Valerians die today, you die with them. The final battle for Velros Prime was about to begin. 100 Krek's warships against 15 human vessels, all trapped together inside an energy cage. Only one side would survive the next 6 hours. The battle inside the energy shield was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. 100 Krek's warships fought 15 human vessels in the space around Velros Prime. There was no escape for either side. The planetary defense grid trapped them all inside a blue dome of energy. Captain Jake Morrison watched the tactical display as Krek's ships swarmed around his fleet like angry insects. Green plasma beams filled space in every direction. The human ships moved fast between the larger alien vessels, hitting weak points and running away before the Krek's could respond. Hull breach on Deck 6. reported Chief Engineer Pete Williams. Emergency teams are sealing it now. The UES Defiant shook as more plasma beams hit her armor. Captain Morrison could smell smoke from the damaged systems. Around him, his crew worked at their stations while sparks fell from broken ceiling panels. "Captain, the UES Guardian is in trouble," said Lieutenant Amy Foster. "She has lost main power and is drifting toward 3 Krex cruisers." On the main screen, Captain Morrison could see Captain Beth Martinez's ship spinning helplessly. The Guardian's engines were dead and Krex ships were closing in for the kill. "Take us in to help them," Captain Morrison ordered. The Defiant turned toward the Guardian, but Admiral Thekvar's flagship blocked their path. The massive Krex command ship was 3 times larger than any human vessel. Its plasma cannons could destroy the Defiant with a single shot. "Captain, we cannot get through," Amy Foster said. "The Krex flagship is too strong." At that moment, Major Carl Davis called from the Marine Bay. "Captain, I have an idea. That big Krex ship has boarding tubes on its sides. If we ram those tubes, maybe we can get Marines inside their ship." Captain Morrison thought about this crazy plan. Ramming a ship 3 times their size would probably destroy the Defiant, but it might also give his Marines a chance to capture the Krex flagship. "Carl, get your best people ready. We are going to ram that monster." The UES Defiant turned toward Admiral Thekvar's flagship and accelerated to full speed. The huge Krex ship fired all its weapons at the approaching human vessel. Plasma beams burned through the Defiant's armor and started fires on multiple decks. "Captain, we are losing life support on the lower levels," Pete Williams reported. "The reactor is overheating." "Hold together for 30 more seconds," Captain Morrison said. The Defiant hit the side of the Krex flagship at full speed. The impact threw everyone on both ships to the floor. Metal screamed and twisted as the human ship's nose buried itself in the alien vessel's hull. Major Davis and his Marines jumped through the hole into the Krex ship. They found themselves in a world of darkness and strange smells. Krex warriors rushed toward them with plasma rifles and sharp claws. The fighting was brutal and close. Human Marines used their rifles until they ran out of ammunition, then switched to knives and fighting with their hands. The Krex were strong and fast, but they had never fought enemies who refused to give up even when badly wounded. Sergeant Lucy Kim found the ship's main reactor, while the other Marines held off Krex reinforcements. She planted explosive charges around the power core while plasma fire filled the corridor behind her. "Major Davis, charges are set," she called over the radio. "We have 2 minutes to get out of here," but the Marines were trapped. More Krex warriors had arrived, and there were too many to fight through. Major Davis looked around at his people. Half of them were wounded, and their ammunition was almost gone. "Lucy, blow the charges now," he ordered. "Sir, you will not have time to escape." Major Davis smiled. "That is okay. Just make sure this ship cannot hurt anyone else." The explosion tore through the heart of the Krex flagship. Admiral Thekvar's great warship broke apart in a ball of fire that lit up the entire battle area. Major Davis and his Marines died with the ship, but their sacrifice saved hundreds of human and Valerian lives. The death of Admiral Thekvar changed everything. Without their commander, the Krex fleet began to lose coordination. Some ships continued fighting, but others tried to find ways to escape through the energy shield. Captain Morrison, now commanding the battle from the badly damaged Defiant, saw his chance. "All ships concentrate fire on the Krex command vessels. Take out their leaders." The remaining human ships, battered but still fighting, focused their attacks on the largest Krex warships. One by one, the alien command vessels exploded or lost power. The Krex fleet became more and more disorganized, but the human ships were dying too. The UES Guardian finally exploded after Captain Martinez rammed it into a Krex battleship. The UES Ranger lost all power and began falling toward the planet below. Captain Roy Hansen's last message was a joke about how Mars looked prettier than Velros Prime. "Admiral Turner, we have maybe 1 hour of shield power left," Dr. Lorisai reported from the planet's surface. "The energy grid is failing." Admiral Turner looked around the bridge of her flagship. Most of the human fleet was gone. Only 6 ships were still fighting, and all of them were badly damaged. "How many Krex ships are left?" she asked. 23 still working, but most of them are damaged too," Amy Foster replied. 23. Krex ships against 6 human vessels. The odds were still terrible, but much better than they had been 6 hours ago. Then something unexpected happened. The energy shield around the planet began to flicker and change color. Instead of blue, it was turning green. "What is happening to the shield?" Admiral Turner asked. Dr. Sam Rodriguez, who had been monitoring the defense grid, looked up from his instruments with surprise. "Admiral, the Valerians on the planet are doing something to the shield. They are changing its frequency." Down on Velros Prime, Elder Temka and thousands of other Valerians were working together at power stations across the planet. They had learned something during the long battle. The planetary shield could be used as a weapon, not just as protection. "Human ships, move away from the Krex vessels immediately," came Elder Temka's voice over the radio. Captain Morrison did not understand what was happening, but he trusted the Valerians. "All human ships, emergency retreat. Get as far from the Krex as possible." The 6 surviving human ships pulled back toward the edge of the shield. The remaining Krex warships, confused by this sudden retreat, moved closer to the planet to continue their attack. That was when Elder Temka activated the weapon that no one expected. The green energy shield suddenly collapsed inward like a giant fist closing. Every Krex ship inside the collapsing field was crushed by enormous forces. 23 alien warships were destroyed in less than 10 seconds. When the green light faded, only the human ships remained. The entire Krex revenge fleet had been destroyed. The battle was over. The silence in space seemed strange after 6 hours of constant fighting. Captain Morrison looked at his tactical display and saw empty space where 100 enemy ships had been. "This is Elder Temka calling all human ships. The Krex fleet is destroyed. Velros Prime is safe." Admiral Turner activated the communication system to talk to all the surviving human ships. "This is Admiral Turner to all vessels. Mission accomplished. The Valerians are safe." Cheers filled the communication channels as the crews of the 6 surviving ships celebrated their impossible victory. But the celebration was brief. The cost had been terrible. 9 human ships were destroyed. Over 3,000 Earth soldiers and sailors were dead, including Major Davis and his Marines who had given their lives to stop the Krex flagship. 3 weeks later, the surviving human ships returned to Earth space. They found a galaxy that had changed. News of the battle at Velros Prime had spread to every world. The Krex Empire, broken by their defeat, had collapsed into civil war. Dozens of species that had lived in fear of Krex expansion were suddenly free, but the major powers of the galaxy were still angry with humanity. The Trellian Confederation maintained their trade embargo. The corporate collective refused to unfreeze Earth's accounts. The Galactic Council passed a resolution condemning human aggression. President Mary Johnson addressed the Earth government and the galaxy in a speech that became famous across human space. She stood at a podium in front of the memorial wall that now held the names of everyone who died at Velros Prime. "The galaxy calls us warmongers and savages," she said. "They say we are too violent to be civilized. Maybe they are right. Maybe saving 3 million innocent lives from genocide is not civilized. Maybe traveling 40,000 light years to help strangers is savage behavior." She paused and looked directly at the cameras that were broadcasting her words across the galaxy. "If that is what civilized means, then humanity chooses to remain savage. We will answer every call for help. We will protect those who cannot protect themselves, and we will never apologize for doing what is right." The Valerian Republic became humanity's first official ally outside Earth space. Other species, the small and weak ones that the major powers ignored, began to follow. The Altarian Republic, the Zephyrian Union, and dozen others formed the Free Species Alliance with Earth as its protector. 5 years later, Captain Morrison, now Admiral Morrison, stood on the bridge of a new ship. The UES Defiant II was twice as large as the original and carried both human and Valerian crew members. They were patrolling the border between Free Alliance space and the territory of an aggressive empire called the Hegemony.